Trickery. If you're not paying attention, you're probably getting tricked. Hey, another random thought coming to you on this night, quiet Thursday night. And this time, this topic is simple. Freedom of speech. Yep. Yeah. So I'm talking and I'm free to talk. So I guess that's freedom of speech. Well, actually, we know that's not what it is. It goes deeper than that when it comes to freedom of speech, right? So, a long story short, because it needs to be made short, because academics can write tons and tons of paper about the true meaning of freedom of speech. I'm not an academic, so I'm just going to keep it simple in terms of what I believe the man on the street thinks about when it comes to freedom of speech. So essentially, it's about, well, an individual should be able to say whatever they want, specifically to their government, right? I mean, some people forget that little part, but specifically to their government, and be able to have their opinions heard to everyone. Well, the key really is to have their opinions heard in a public square, right? So it's about basically having an individual that wants to tell the public at large how they feel, and they should be able to do that in any public square. So that's kind of like the basis of that. And the idea behind that is, well, if everybody can speak their mind, then we are basically going to get the real pulse of the public, and hopefully, as a society, we can then come to informed decisions. That's how the script is written anyway. But then let's look at the practicality of all this stuff. Well, number one, freedom of speech doesn't and cannot really exist, because there are many things, many ideas that just about everybody will agree upon that they don't want spreading, right? And the idea of a bad idea spreading, that's not even really the problem, because as the saying goes, it takes two to tango, right? So it's not just the bad idea spreading, it's also about the fact that you have a lot of gullible minds that are available to absorb that bad idea. That's really where the problem is. If it wasn't for that, bad idea is a bad idea. I mean, if a particular idea promotes violence, but everybody realizes that's a stupid idea, that's not a problem for society. It just goes away. But obviously, that's not the reality. People can be fooled, can be tricked, and that's where the whole freedom of speech stuff has to break down. Because if we allow free for all, well, then the gullibles amongst us, which in my opinion is a lot, will then act as zombies for the particular person that's promoting this bad idea. So essentially, instead of everybody having independent ideas and coming to their own conclusion, you're going to have one person using the many as zombies. And basically, so all of a sudden, that one voice per person is not the case. It's one person having thousands of voices. Add social media to that, one person having millions of voices. So that's one of the main reasons why you just cannot have freedom of speech. However, the other side of this is then, well, if you start to limit this freedom of speech, what criteria are you going to use? And that's the problem that I certainly cannot resolve, because that's the tough part. How do we evaluate what's really good, what's good or what's bad, not necessarily for now, but looking into the future? And at some point, we really can't. So in one camp, you have, okay, well, let's just have the marketplace of ideas battle it out, right? So that way we are guaranteed that a good idea will always get through, because we let bad ideas get through too. There's nothing really wrong with that. It has its problems. And the main thing with that is that there are certain ideas that we cannot afford to wait for it to play out, because they move fast, they spread fast, and the consequences are really bad. On the other hand, if we decide to go ahead and determine if you allow the so-called fact checkers, whatever that means, determine what is actual facts and not, it's very easy, very, very easy for good ideas to be thrown in the trash bin by these fact checkers. And that's definitely not good either. So we have these two problems, and there really is no way, there is no easy way to solve this. And I certainly don't have an answer. But one of the things I would certainly say is focusing on teaching the public at large how to immune themselves from bad ideas. Because once as a society we feel comfortable enough that we've immune the public at large enough against bad ideas, but not even bad ideas, but basically how to analyze a particular suggestion or a particular proposal on its merits. So it's not even about good or bad, but just being able to analyze a particular merits on its a particular proposal on its merits, then that in itself will make it more guaranteed that the listener is more informed. And so once they're informed and protected in terms of how to discern a fishy idea from like a genuine idea, once they do that without even considering the actual thing being proposed, but just the way to analyze proposals, once we can do that, well then the negative side of letting bad ideas into the public square is no longer a problem because the public will catch that. Unfortunately, we don't do that. And so as long as we don't do that, just letting everything and anything out there is not necessarily the solution either. So I suggest you just got to inoculate the public better and allowing them to know how to analyze a reasonable proposal from a not reasonable proposal, or better yet, for a proposal for what it is and for a proposal that tends to hide another proposal within it. Essentially, trickery. That's it for now. I'll see you later.